What's up, everybody? We're back. The Friday matinee edition. I'm glad you can get time away from work to do the show today.
I'm multitasking here.
Oh, so you're working. You do have your laptop today. You usually have your sheet of paper with your notes on it.
I figured I'd jump into the 21st century.
Here you are. Welcome. Last week was something. You got your first win, I believe, correct?
I did.
That's big. Congratulations.
1-2, much like a lot of us in the league.
Let's get into last week real quick. I'm just going to brush it because it was, it's odd. Things are happening this year that haven't happened in a while. But week 3, Jeff beat me 153-76. That moves Jeff to 3-0. Is Jeff going to lose this year? He's a really good team.
I think he'll eventually lose. I don't know. Has anyone ever gone undefeated?
No, I think 2 losses was the best regular season. I know who did that, and then they got smoked in the playoffs. But
was it you?
It wasn't me. I lost the very first game of the year, and then I didn't lose again until the championship.
So you're kind of like Ben Roethlisberger in his rookie year?
It was very much the same, except I didn't wreck my motorcycle. Next game was Mark beat Joey 118-100. Your first win. You think will Joey ever win? I think he's 0-3.
I think there's a better chance of Joey never winning than there is of Jeff going undefeated.
I don't disagree with that. He's one of 2 0-3 teams. Pat rides his D to beat Tags 198-83. That's an embarrassment.
Well, Pat is a D rider, and Tags is not much of an opponent.
The Buffalo defense scored 37. So we discussed briefly getting rid of kickers and defense before the draft, and I thought we were moving toward at least getting rid of kickers, maybe even defenses, but then we started drafting and nothing happened. You think Pat had this in his back pocket?
You know what? I don't know, but I do know that the general did take charge after the draft to talk about the rules.
Very fired up after everything was done to change everything. But Kurt beat Stu 104-67. Stu was also 0-3. Stu got a 0 from Barkley, Jones, and Ayuk. Neither of them, no, 3 of them didn't play.
Yeah, and Stu, we thought his lineup was really good going into the year. We thought he drafted really well. So it's not about the GM of the team. It's just about the coach this year.
Very much so. Very much. Palmer beat Bry 142-94. Bry also got 0 from Christian Watson. I think Watson was a later scratch. Everyone knew Barkley wasn't playing, but I think Watson might have been a little bit later. I think he had Cortland Sutton. I mean, he still lost by 50.
Yeah, either way, it looks like he's going to lose here. Watson was a little bit closer to a game-time decision. Either way, he gets another 25 points. He still loses.
Yeah. Abbott beat Jack 186-106. Devontae Adams and Keenan Allen had 78 combined. Abbott has the crown. Pat had high score. And Abbott is the other 3-0 team. Is he better or worse than Jeff?
I think he's a little bit worse. And actually, if you talk to him, his best player, he would say, is his D. He has the Dallas D, who put up, I think, 2 very high weeks.
Not last
week. 2 weeks.
Yeah, Arizona beat him last week. I'm trying to look points for, points against. Points for Abbott, Jeff, Pat, Palmer. Points against, the lowest is Kurt, Jeff, Abbott, Pat. So,
yeah, looking at the Dallas D too, in the first 2 weeks, they combined for 63 points.
It's a lot of points from a defense. Quite a lot. So we will go real quick in the recent activity. Jada Reed was had for $2. Tajay Spears for $3. I like Tajay Spears. I think I bid 2 on him. CJ Stroud for 4, Josh Palmer for 7, and the big one was, his name was A-Chain, now it's A-Chain or A-Kane or something like that. He changed it because he did well, but he went for 73. Seems like a lot. I know Palmer went 50-some, so he wasn't blown out of the water, but I know he took some heat for it, but he's 0-3.
He needed to do something. Yeah. I did see that Cooper Kupp is starting his practice window today, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, if he's going to spend $73, maybe it'll buy him a win or two. We'll see.
So you're looking for at this point. All right. Well, into this week's preview, we had yesterday's game go. It was Detroit and Green Bay. I hit my bet, and I have my ladder still going because I used 2 legs of that from yesterday. First game is me versus Bry. We're both 1-2. He jumped out of the gate to a 9.5-point lead with Christian Watson getting 2 receptions for 25 yards and a wide open touchdown. Kamara comes back this week versus Tampa. That's going to help Bry quite a bit. He also has DeAndre Swift still, CD Lamb, and Cortland Sutton. And then he has Lamar leading it against Cleveland defense. He has some tough matchups. Lamar versus Cleveland, Kamara versus Vita Vea, Swift versus Chase Young, and can't remember the linebacker's name, Montez Sweat. CD against New England. I'm sure Christian Watson's on him. And then Cortland Sutton versus Chicago. That's not a bad matchup. On the other side, it's I have myself, which is Trevor Lawrence at 9:30. Stupid London game while I'm cutting grass versus Atlanta. Bijan versus Jacksonville, 9 o'clock, 9:30. Steph Diggs versus Miami. I think that is a fantastic matchup for me. Calvin Ridley versus Atlanta, fantastic for me. Mark Andrews versus Cleveland. Now, Mark Andrews, I think Cleveland's the team he plays the best against, and I'm looking for a breakout from him. And then Jordan Addison versus Carolina, which should be good. I like my matchups better. I think his team actually might be a little better, but I'm going to take myself in this one, even spotting the 9.5 points.
I'm actually going to go the opposite way. I'm going with Braga. I think, 2 weeks ago he lost Chubb. I think obviously that's one of the biggest injuries of the year. His number 1 pick. But luckily, just in time, Alvin Kamara is coming back. If he has Chubb in his lineup, I really think he has one of the best teams in the league. Thankfully, though, he got his Kamara coming back from suspension. He made a pretty much a highway robbery trade earlier this year, acquiring DeAndre Swift. And then he also has Christian Watson, who came back last night. So I think Braga is getting healthy at the right time. With you on the other side, you have Kenneth Gainwell. It looks like after the last 2 weeks, he's going to give up his carries to Swift. So I think that Braga has you kind of in that category. I think you guys are even across the board in most of the others. I do like Cortland Sutton a little bit more than Addison at this point, just after his last week. We'll see, though. Denver is a train wreck, but I'm going with Braga.
Okay. Well, for the record, Kenneth Gainwell had 14 carries versus New England. Hart week 2, 14 carries versus Tampa. So he's not yielding any carries yet. I don't disagree that it might happen. I just hope it's next week. Next game, the General versus Cup of Joe. 1-2 versus 0-3. Joey spotted tags 14 points with Jamari Gibbs for only 7. Being out to that huge lead at halftime, I'm sure you wanted more out of Gibbs, assuming they were going to run the clock out the second half. And then only 7 out of Sam Laporta. Sam Laporta had 4 receptions for 56 yards. Dagmar had no one going yet. He has Purdy versus Arizona, which should be good. Dameon Pierce versus Pittsburgh, which Pittsburgh's not great versus the run, but I don't know with a rookie quarterback that they're going to be selling out to stop the pass. Breece Hall versus Kansas City. Breece Hall's kind of a catastrophe. Tyreek Hill versus Buffalo. That's a really good matchup. Garrett Wilson versus KC. I don't know that you want this many Jets on your team.
Mm-hmm.
Dallas Goedert, I don't think he's yet to break out. And then Tank Dell. So you have 2 Texans and 2 Jets. Not ideal teams to go with. On the other side, Joey has Allen versus Miami, which, again, we've been saying that's going to be a 100-point game, I think. A-Chain versus Buffalo. I don't think that's as great as we might think, but you got to try it. Christian Kirk versus Arizona at 9:30. Another early nice matchup. Puka Nacua versus Indy. Indy's defense isn't bad. Puka's been tearing it up, though, so that's what it is. Javonte Williams versus Chicago. I don't know what Williams is doing this year. Like you said, Denver is a train wreck. Javonte Williams was fantastic, but then he had, 2 injuries or a big injury, and I think I'm going to take Joey strictly on the 49ers defense playing Arizona and Josh Allen.
Yeah, this is a tough matchup to pick. I don't love either of these teams right now.
I mean, I
kind of want to turn this game the battle of the basement. Because when you look at Tag's team, he had a bunch of big names going into the year, but that injury to Rodgers really killed him with Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall. You haven't seen much out of either one of those two. And then really the only bright spot on his team is Tyreek Hill, and he might be the number one fantasy player this year so far, just the way he's been playing. On the other side, Joey's team, I like Josh Allen. We talked about Gibbs. I mean, Montgomery scored 3 touchdowns there. Gibbs really didn't do much. Laporta didn't do much. I do like A-Chain. I like Nakua. He has a good, if you were to build an actual team, he has a good team, I think.
Nice young core.
For the next 2 to 3, 4, 5 years. I just don't see them. I don't love them in fantasy right now. He needs that 1 or 2 more just steady players that'll get him 15, 20 points a game, and then I'd really like that team.
Did he draft Anthony Richardson? It looks like he did. So he drafted Josh Allen and then followed him up with a rookie project. That's a weird draft strategy, especially when you have Cooper Kupp. He's going to be out a couple weeks.
When you just look at all the rookies on his
team. Well, yeah, Zay Flowers, Tank
Gibbs, A-Chain, Nakua, Zay Flowers, Tank Bigsby. I mean, Anthony Richardson, he's just full of. He either went for he's going to finish in last place or he's going to.
Yeah, this is a great dynasty lineup, but not for a redraft.
Yes, I'm going to go with Tags just based off of Tyreek Hill.
I think it bodes better for us in our group chat if Tagmeyer loses to a winless Joey.
It does. Well, you know what? It might be his only win this week, though, because from what I hear, there's rumors. Rumors have it this isn't his year in Madden.
I don't know. I know he's struggling quite a bit in Madden. He used to dominate by year 2, year 3. It's not the case this year, and I think he's very upset by that.
Years back, he was on top in both fantasy and Madden, and I heard the tides have turned quick in both. I'll just leave it at that.
He has other issues. He hasn't time to devote to these. Next game is a new name, the Swifties, at 1-2 versus Return Doubtful at 2-1. You got 3 points out of your defense. You cannot be happy with that.
I'm not. I guess the only upside for me is if I'm going to get 3 points on anybody, it's my defense is the one spot that I'll let that be because the other ones I think they can go up from there.
Let's see. So Dak versus New England, I don't love that. Najee versus Houston, I don't love that. I think Houston's advantage.
I think he has a breakout game.
Okay.
2 touchdowns.
I think you said that almost every week.
25 points.
Okay. This season total?
No, this game.
Oh, okay. Brian Robinson versus Philly, that's not an easy team to run on. A banged up Metcalf versus the Giants. That's an issue because I think Metcalf went on the injury list yesterday.
Oh, he was on it last week too.
Oh, is it the same issue?
I don't know. I'm assuming so.
Debo questionable versus Arizona. You want Debo in that game. You need a good half out of Debo. Kelsey versus the Jets. DJ Moore versus Denver. You got decent matchups. I don't like Najee. I don't like Dak, Najee, or Brian Robinson, but your receivers and your tight end has really good matchups. Kelsey's matchup proof. The other side, however, you got Patrick Mahomes versus Jets, so it doesn't matter. Derrick Henry versus Cincinnati. So I think Derrick Henry got 2 points last week. I'm not sure if we're seeing the end of Derrick Henry.
I think we finally saw his downside.
Yeah. Miles Sanders, who I think just went on the injury list, and the big scrum was for Chuba Hubbard, which I believe Kurt has. I looked it up. Devonta Smith versus Washington. Kendrick Bourne versus Dallas. Dallas got a good defense. Kendrick Bourne, I don't know. Evan Ingram, he's up and down. Every Jaguar is based off of how Trevor Lawrence does. And Trevor Lawrence did not do well last week, and it was a catastrophe. Big sleeper play here, Gabe Davis. I really like that versus Miami. I think if Diggs draws the big coverage, Diggs draws the big coverage, and Gabe Davis should be wide open. Pittsburgh D versus Houston. I think they're gonna really rattle Stroud, so I think they're probably gonna score more in the Green Bay's 3. Looking at it right now, I'm gonna have to go with Jack. I think
I'm gonna Go opposite again.
You know what? I'm not going Jack. If you have a healthy DK and a healthy Debo, I think you can overcome the Najee Brian Robinson.
I don't think I have to overcome those two. I think they're solid. The only place I think he really has me is the D. The D.
Patrick Mahomes.
No, I think Jack has the best D in the league. I do think his D is going to put up a lot of points.
Let's look that up. Or they're number 4 in position rank so far.
Okay, yeah, top 5. I think he has me in the D category.
Is Dallas number 1 then?
I think Dallas might have.
They scored a ton of touchdowns, but the Steelers scored 2.
Well, Dallas had 43 points the first week and 20 points the second week.
And Buffalo had 37 last week.
Yeah.
Look at the injury list here.
But yeah, I really like where I'm at. I think my team's finally trending in the right direction after the win last week. We talked about it, made one bad move earlier in the year, getting rid of Swift. But I think Dak's going to put a solid game together. And you know what? I think Henry's on the downside for him. Miles Sanders, he scored some points last week, but that was at the end of the game, kind of in garbage time. The rest of his lineup, Kendrick Bourne, Evan Ingram, not sold on either one of those two. Gabe Davis, he might be okay. But like you said, Kelsey, Debo, DK, I think are solid. DJ Moore, I actually think he's going to get better as the year goes along. And same thing with Najee. I'm not giving up on Najee yet.
Might be the only one. Next game, Grant Union Army, Pat 2-1 versus SA Quarantine. Matt Abbott 3-0. It's just the week Abbott loses. He's projected to win handily, win by 20. So Pat starts out at 0.6. He got 0.6 out of his tight end, Luke Musgrave, 1 reception for 1 yard.
And then he went out with a concussion.
Is he have a tight end on his bench? He does not.
A lot of bets were lost on him.
So Pat got Jalen Hurts, who I feel is underachieving. I don't know how he's doing fantasy-wise, but throwing-wise, he doesn't look like last year's Jalen Hurts. James Cook, who is a surprise this year, I think he's like 14th running back. Raheem Mostert, huge surprise. I think he's number 1 running back. Jamar Chase, huge surprise. Number 30th wide receiver. A.J. Brown, again, where's he at? A.J. 29 and 30. You don't see A.J. Brown and Jamar Chase 29 and 30 when you're drafting them early. Mari Cooper might be the best receiver he has right now, 16th. Chiefs defense versus Jets. Did he get rid of Buffalo? He benched Buffalo at Miami. Good move. On the other side, Kirk Cousins, who is quarterback 1, and his team is 0-3. Tony Pollard, who's been making some noise. Alexander Madison, who has been very underwhelming. He was one of the big names to really blow up this year. He has not. An unhappy Devontae Adams. I heard he might want out. He doesn't have time for rebuilds. I think you know that when you go to Las Vegas, though. They weren't ready to win. Keenan Allen, who is he number 1? Number 2.
He surprised me this year. I didn't expect that out of him.
I thought he was going to be old and washed up.
I thought Mike Williams was going to take over as number 1 there.
What I thought as well. Freiermuth, who's been underwhelming this year. Kenneth Walker, who's been pretty good in Dallas defense versus New England. This is a pretty good matchup. I still think Abbott maintains his receiving core. Pat has the names and the running backs. Abbott has the stats. So I think Abbott's gonna take this one.
I'm going the opposite. I don't love that he got 0.6 out of his tight end. That's a bad start. But I do think this is the week. Yeah, you started to see it last week. Jamar Chase started to get some more catches. I think him and Burrow start to get on the same page a little bit more. A.J. Brown, I think he might produce a little bit more. And then Mostert's been tearing up for him. And then I think Abbott's team, Kirk Cousins, I don't expect him to be the number 1 quarterback for the entire year. I think he's going to level out a bit. He'll be top 12, but I don't think he's going to keep the number 1 pace. And same thing with Keenan Allen. I know Mike Williams is hurt there. He's been playing great. But I think there's going to be a point where both of those two, where the guys on the other side, Jamar Chase and A.J. Brown, I think they have an uptick. I think some of the guys on Matt's team are going to have, the downslide.
We'll see what happens. Next.
Hold on. One you might have for the end. What is the worst trade so far? Well, I'm looking at it.
Well, the only trade I really know of was Dak for
Dak for
Swift.
Swift, or well, he traded Raheem Mostert for Gabe Davis.
Who?
Jack had Mostert.
Traded Mostert. Well,
Pat had Davis.
Yeah, Mostert's number one running
Yeah.
back.
So
that's getting up there. But I think at the end of the year, Mostert will yield to A-Chain and Jeff Wilson when he comes back. I don't know if you think Swift is going to yield at all to Kenneth
Gainwell or Penny or something. So
or
right
Boston
now
Scott. There's some bad trades. So they're lopsided trades. So
Fry Guy and Pat robbed me and Jack so far is what I'm thinking.
I wonder why he traded that early. Did he need a receiver that bad, Jack?
He might have had somebody get injured. He had Deontay Johnson get injured.
Next game, Dirty Sanchez versus Hodgepodge of Nothingness. 0-3 versus 3-0. I can't get back to it. So Stu starts out with 16 points, 1 point out of Aaron Jones. He looked awful. A.J. Dillon looked awful. That offensive line looks awful. Bakhtiari's out again. He's probably done. He missed most of the year last year, already missing 6 games this year. Amon-Ra with 14. 14's not bad, but Amon-Ra, what's he averaging? Because he was crushing. He averages 15, so he's right at his average. 5 for 56 in a receiving touchdown. Okay. Stu has Burrow versus Tennessee. Tennessee has, I don't think their corners are good, but they got a really good front seven. They can really rush them. Khalil Herbert versus Denver. I don't know what you do with Denver. They got 70 hung on them, so if they're prideful, they come back this week, but who knows? They might have all just given up. Thielen versus Minnesota. Thielen in a revenge game. I don't know what to expect out of Thielen. I don't think he's good, but he's been decent this year, especially last week. George Kittle versus Arizona. I say it every week. I don't like Kittle, but he's still playing. If he's healthy, he's okay. Brandon Ayuk versus Arizona. I think you need to see a healthy Ayuk. Cleveland versus Buffalo. I don't know. Cleveland's got a really good defense. What's their defensive rank? 3. Yeah. So it has to be Dallas and Buffalo is 1 and 2. Tua versus Buffalo. I think Tua is matchup proof. He's quarterback 2. Christian McCaffrey versus Arizona. That should be a feeding frenzy. Kyron Williams versus Indy. Again, we'll see how that defense works. Now, Olave versus Tampa. Olave with Jameis Winston playing. Jameis slings it. He ain't scared. That if you ain't open, he'll throw you open, maybe, or he'll throw it. He'll throw it. If it's a question, it's going up. I really like Winston. I think he's positive. Yeah. He's easy to root for. He eats dubs. I think this is probably good for Olave. He's probably going to get more targets, and then they're going to probably be down a lot because he throws a lot of interceptions, so they'll need to throw to continue to go. But we'll see. This is an interesting one here. Mike Evans versus New Orleans. Now, Marshawn Lattimore eats Mike Williams' lunch every time they play. They always get into a fight. Evans always gets thrown out. I'm really curious to see if he can keep his head at this point.
Yeah, he surprisingly, I just looked up. He's the 5th overall receiver this year.
Yeah, Baker's been feeding him big time. Hawkinson, who's been really good. I think he's probably number 2 tight end right now. Jalen Waddle's back. No, he's number 1 tight end.
Yep.
Bill Kelsey plays another game or 2. Jalen Waddle. Does he have 2 and Waddle? That's a nice connection to have. I'm gonna take Jeff in this one to maintain and go to 4-0. He got a lot of names, man. Olave, Evans, Waddle, Hawkinson, McCaffrey, Tua. There's a lot of talent on that team. He drafted very well.
Yeah, I think, to go back, I'm going to pick Jeff as well. But I think Stu's team has a lot of names too. But I think he has a lot of names injured right now. He started Aaron Jones. I think he's still hurt in Green Bay. Their line looked horrible. Brandon Ayuk, he came after that first week. He dominated against the Steelers. He's been injured. Saquon Barkley's injured. DeAndre Hopkins is questionable. So Stu has a lot of big names, but also a lot of big injuries. Jeff, he has, I don't want to jinx him, and that's usually what happens after I say something. Jeff has, Jerry Jeudy is the only person who has any sort of injury designation on him right now, and Jerry Jeudy was injured before the season started. Other than that, everyone on Jeff's team is completely healthy, and I think one of the surprises are his second running back, Kyron Williams, is 6th overall at this point.
I was just going to tell you, James Conner is the 8th running back. He cannot crack a lineup.
And that's the thing. He has McCaffrey's 2, Kyron Williams is 6. Yeah, so you have James Conner in your flex, but when you have Jalen Waddle, I don't think you.
Yeah, Evans, Olave. Who do you take out? He has. There's not a, and I would say he needs to trade it somebody, but he doesn't. There's not a position that he needs to improve.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe his defense, but I don't think he cares about that.
And I think he actually just picked the Rams.
Yeah, they're 24, so he's going to match up against Indy against the rookie quarterback.
Yeah, I think it's
a very
this is
team.
Clearly the number 1 team in the league at this point.
I would agree. Last game on a slate: Army of Northern Virginia versus the Crumb Snatchers. 2-1 versus 2-1. Herbert, Mixon, Pacheco, T. Higgins, Drake London. Are you done with Drake London?
I never started with Drake London.
He's the 59th receiver. He has no quarterback. I wonder if they're playing in London this week, if that's why he's starting Drake London.
Well, the best thing about the Falcons, I don't know if you just saw it on McAfee, was their coach called in to give an interview. He forgot about the interview with the time difference. He called in from a London pub as he was sitting there drinking a beer, and you noticed this.
It's a pint. If it's in London, you're drinking a pint.
He was drinking a pint. Well, and there was this other guy who was over his shoulder who kept trying to sneak into the camera shot, and they called him out on the show. And it turned out to be his brother.
The coach's brother?
The coach's brother. So the guys laughed about it. And then after they hung up, they realized that the coach's brother, who was also drinking a pint, happens to be the CEO of FedEx.
Wow. That's Atlanta Falcons. Okay, because Washington owner. No. Was that how it worked? Yeah, because okay, that's what it was. And I think something with Washington, they bought shares of the Redskins at that time on FedEx money.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was a pretty funny clip.
It's a wild situation. Yes. All that success in one family.
But back to Drake London. I've been out on him since last year. He didn't do anything last year.
No one that goes to Atlanta, and I drafted Bijan. Kyle Pitts didn't do anything. Drake London didn't do anything. They don't know how to run their offense.
I'll tell you what, though. I was wrong. Bijan, well, I was 50-50. I was out on Gibbs and Bijan.
Yeah.
Gibbs, I think, that's been justified. Gibbs hasn't done much. Bijan has been phenomenal.
He should have got a little more carries last week. I think he only had 10 carries, but he's good.
Bijan's very good.
Yeah, they have a really good line. They just don't have any threat of a passing game, so it's hard to justify running him all day. The other side, Geno Smith, who I'm very down on now. I expected so much after you added JSN and another running back. I thought that offense would be humming. It's not. Get it right versus the Giants, maybe. Travis Etienne, very overrated running back. Jerome Ford, flash in the pan. I don't see him improving or maintaining at all. Josh Jacobs, you can't help but be let down with what Josh Jacobs is doing. Number 1 running back last year. What is he now? Is he in the 50s? 28. He's not even he's a flex running back right now. So if I'm Palmer, I'd look to move one of these running backs and address his second receiver, Jacoby Myers. His first receiver is great, Justin Jefferson, but then there's David Njoku, who every single year we talk about how great Njoku is going to be, and he's not ever great. Is Pitts and Njoku just two names that are never going to be successful? Could be. Looking at these teams, as much as I love Justin Jefferson and he's going to hide, you know what, Drake London, Herbert, I think I'm going to go with Palmer. It's close. What are the projections say? 119 to 117? Yeah, I don't love Pacheco. I don't like Pacheco at all versus Jets. T. Higgins is very hit or miss. Drake London is miss and miss. Eckler still questionable. I don't know. And the one thing they have going for him is their defensive line in Vegas, sort of.
This is a hard game to pick.
I'm going to take Palmer based on the fact that he can get himself a second receiver. I have faith that he might.
I'm glad you took Palmer because I'm going opposite. I'm going with Kurt, the Army of Northern Virginia. And based solely on the fact, I mean, team-wise, I think Justin Jefferson is the best player on either of these rosters. I think it's close. Austin Eckler is good, but he's
I would
banged up.
take Jefferson for sure.
But I think Jefferson is. Other than that, I don't love really anyone on Tim's team at this point. Yeah, like we talked about, it's just he's dealt with a lot of injuries. Mike Williams got hurt for him. So I don't love anybody there. I don't love anybody on Kurt's team at this point either, with Eckler being injured. I still like Pacheco. Think he'll be good. Herbert's seemed to play well. But the reason I think I'm taking Kurt at this point, you don't like David Njoku, neither do I. Jake Ferguson, I probably couldn't have told you who he was before 2 days ago, but I'm picking because of him, because he's dating one of the Kevin Deere twins or whatever.
The Miami basketball player girls.
And that's 100% the reason.
Tight ends?
Tight ends are,
They made a name for themselves.
high demand.
Very much. Very much. Bringing that up, who's the better duo right now? Jason Kelsey and DeAndre Swift, or Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift?
Well, number one, that was a fantastic pivot that you just made into this.
This ain't our first show.
But everyone wants to say that it's Taylor and Travis. I'm beginning to think that's a little bit fake. I think what DeAndre and Jason have on the field is real.
That's real.
So I'm going with them.
I agree. So we did talk about Kirk Cousins. I'm not saying he's fake, but he's not going to end number one. I think we both agree on that. I think we can both agree that Tua has the ability, if he's healthy. Is Tua right now the MVP? He's quarterback 2. He's probably going to stay around that, maybe move up. Could move down a couple spots, but I think with a healthy Waddle, a healthy Hill, good running game, there's really no reason why he can't.
I think if they finish number one in the AFC, he will be.
Yeah.
If he gets hurt or if they have a slide, they have a tough division. They're going to play Buffalo twice.
Jets twice.
They're going to play the Jets, although the Jets don't have Rodgers.
New England. Defense, yeah.
New England.
Good defenses in that division.
So I think their schedule's probably going to get a little bit tougher, but if they finish number one, he will be because, who else is in that category? Who's the number one QB?
Kirk,
yeah.
Raheem Mostert's the running back. I'm not sure. Is Jefferson wide receiver? I'm not sure wide receiver. Oh, no, Keenan Allen's too. But those guys, Jefferson, you're using a high capital pick on. Mostert, you're not.
Yeah.
You're drafting them late and then trading them. So, but I don't see Mostert staying there either.
No.
But so we'll see. Now, sticking with quarterback, are you worried about Trevor Lawrence? He's quarterback 20 right now. I went on a rant show 1 saying he could be the fantasy MVP, and that looks ridiculous at this point. I'm just hoping he gets into the top 12 at some point.
I'm not worried, and I think that was one of the leads on ESPN today. That is he overrated or his stats compared to Mac Jones, and actually Mac beat him in a lot of categories. But I'm not. You saw him in college. You saw what he did year 1 to year 2. I think this is only week 4. Give him some time. I think by the end of the year, Jacksonville will make the playoffs. I still think he'll be in a good spot. And he has more weapons than he has had in years past. So
the last time he had a team this good, it was Clemson with T. Higgins, and there was someone else I can't remember. Oh, ETN was there.
ETN was there.
Another receiver. I don't remember who it was. Mm-hmm. Be surprised by Sam Laporta, tight end too, rookie tight end. Everyone says rookie tight ends are hard to be successful, but Sam Laporta's proven that wrong.
I'm surprised by it, but I think it's more about Detroit as a whole. They look good.
Yeah, they look like they're having fun.
They look good. Jared Goff, I think, has been playing well. They got a lot of weapons. They have 2 good running backs. They have 1 star receiver, a couple compliments. I think it's the whole offense in general there.
Yeah, they started with a good line. They drafted Penny Swell a few years ago, and they built on that line, and they got a coach that I don't think. All right, so the Steelers-Raiders game. When you're down by 8, I don't know why you kick a field goal inside. I don't think I can't think of his name. Not a goofball coach.
McDaniels?
No, well, I know his name. Detroit.
Dan Campbell.
Dan Campbell.
MCD.
I don't think he overcoaches.
Yeah.
He sees a guy, if ETN's or if Swift is running well, he gives the no, that was last year. He didn't give the ball to Swift.
Gibbs and Montgomery.
He sees Montgomery playing well, feeds it to Montgomery.
Yeah.
Amon-Ra St. Brown can catch, they feed Amon-Ra St. Brown. He doesn't overthink and kick these dumb field goals. If it's 4th and 1, he's probably going for it.
Yep.
You know, and I think that's a lot. I think coaches got to the point where it's almost like they need to justify themselves. And it's just, when you watch Mike McDaniel, Raiders coach.
Josh
McDaniel. He must be a fantastic OC. He's one of the worst head coaches. And it's been proven time and time again. And he just keeps getting these chances. Whatever. So are you surprised by Najee currently sitting at running back 47? Let me guess and go on a limb. You're so surprised you think he's going to finish in the top 5.
I'm not surprised because I think everyone overreacts. Beginning of the year, you got to, number one, Steelers played maybe 2 of the top 5 defenses beginning of the year.
I will give you that.
And I think as a whole, we have to let the line develop and let the whole offense develop. It's, from everything I've read, that the play calling has actually gotten significantly better over the 3 weeks. I think Kenny surprised me more than Najee. I think Kenny looked really bad in the first 2 weeks. Last week was the first week I actually saw him look anything like he looked in the preseason. So I think if Kenny starts to get going a little more and the line gets to going a little more, then Naj will be better. Naj actually, he doesn't look horrible when he gets the ball. He's just getting hit a lot behind the line. So I think it's just more than him.
So the carries are almost 55 to 45%. Do you feel it goes the other way if Najee becomes successful and he gets more of the workload? He's been a volume guy since he's been in the league. So if he loses that volume,
I think it might go 60-40 max, because I think what they're going to do, like a lot of Warren's carries too, when you look at it, it might be 3rd and 12.
So they're playing back a bit.
Yeah, and he's going to get those longer runs. And I think as the line gels better and Kenny starts to work more play action into it, then they'll start running Naj at 3-yard chunks, 4-yard chunks at a time, but they need to kind of build to get there. He'll be fine.
Do you think Breece Hall needs Aaron Rodgers? He scored, a 70-yard touchdown week 1, and then since then he's had 0.9 and 3.2 points.
I don't think it's Aaron Rodgers. Well, yeah, Aaron Rodgers would help, but he just needs a quarterback. I don't think Zach Wilson's the guy. I think everyone on the Jets is out on Zach Wilson. I think everyone out on the Jets is out on their offensive line.
Zach Wilson?
Yeah.
So he's a millionaire athlete, banging moms, whatever. But in real life, he's this guy from a small school that wasn't supposed to go number 2 that they screwed up and picked him at 2.
Well, they picked him at 2, and then with the Rodgers coming in and the injury, now he's taking all the flack for playing the last 2 games. Yeah. And meanwhile, it's not really,
They set him up to fail miserably. And he's taking the reins to his credit. He's failing. I think we talked about this, but do you think Mostert will stay running back 1? You scored 12 points and 29 and 41. I think we're both on the side that he will not.
I don't think he'll stay number 1, but he'll be good until he gets injured, probably.
Also mentioned this is Henry Finish. He had 2 points last week.
I think he's on down. You know what? I haven't heard a lot of buzz out of Tennessee at all regarding much.
No.
They're kind of that 7 and 10 team, 8 and 9.
They're that middling team that doesn't scare anyone, but they'll get a couple wins here. And speaking of Tennessee, did DeAndre Hopkins make a mistake going to Tennessee? He's wide receiver 53. They don't have a good quarterback. If he went for the money, I don't think that's fine. But if he went to win, Tennessee's not the landing spot.
Tennessee's not the land, but is DeAndre Hopkins, is he also on the downside of his career? Because if he stays in Arizona, although Josh Dobbs looks like they're having fun out there, Arizona's not gonna do anything. I do too. They're not gonna do much. I don't know if Tennessee is the only team that's gonna pay him, but I mean, how long's he been in the league now? I just think that the receivers at some point like that this is what, his third team? If three teams are
Houston,
willing to,
Arizona, and Tennessee.
if he's going to bounce around teams like that, maybe there's something that the teams aren't willing to, that they see that they're not willing to keep. So I think it's kind of mutual there.
Talk about Drake London, the inbenchable. He's receiver 59. We talked about trading Swift, running back 11 for Dak, quarterback 22. Will Palmer overcome Mike Williams? We said that if he makes a trade for a good receiver, he'll be able to.
Palmer needs to overcome Palmer.
Do you have more faith in Palmer or Najee?
Najee, 100%.
I don't know.
No.
I don't know where I'm at on that. I think I have more faith
Is
in
it even
Palmer.
close?
Yeah, it's not that close because I don't think Najee's a good football player.
You know, Palmer and I share a team in the other league. And it's kind of bad because with our number one pick, I think third overall,
Eckler?
we picked Eckler.
Who got hurt.
We picked him over CMC, who I would have
like
went.
that, yeah. And
I would
was
have
gonna
went
say,
CMC.
If it's Jefferson, McCaffrey,
It went
I
Jefferson
don't
Chase.
mind.
So CMC was there. That's who I would go with.
That seems like a slam dunk.
I thought it was too, but Tim really likes Eckler. Now, the downside of this, on the round 2, on the way back, we picked Najee.
You got some bad running backs.
So, what makes it worse, so we picked Eckler over CMC in round 1. Eckler did have a good week 1. Gets hurt. We picked Najee in round 2. So Eckler was Tim's pick. Najee was my pick. Eckler still has more points than Najee, and Eckler was hurt after week 1. Najee slayed.
Are you guys? You have some wins, or you're not winless, right?
Every team I'm on is 1 and 2.
That seems like it's everywhere. 1 and 2 or 2 and 1.
So,
well, it's that time for everybody's favorite segment. DeMarc still presents the power rankings.
Power rankings presented by Jiggy Crack Outdoors.
Actually, big announcement. Big announcement. Let me see if I don't want to mess it up. 2023. I'm going to say it's SKOOK. I don't think it's Skook. I don't know. Okay. 2023 SKOOK Trapper of the Year, proudly presented to Jake Miller. In sincere appreciation for your selfless giving and promoting trapping for future generations, we will benefit from your support. I don't know if it'll. Way to go, Jake.
And now,
the power range.
Coming in number 12, I don't think it's much of a surprise. We're going Cup of Joe. 0-3. We talked about it. Great if you're going to build a dynasty team. Too young. A lot of injuries. Not much there right now. Who knows? But not much else to say. Coming in number 11, team I liked at the beginning of the year. Thought the GM was good. Coaching's been bad. Dirty Sanchez.
Yep.
Still think the roster, solid. Think if he can overcome some injuries, things could turn around. He's not dead yet, but got to pay attention more there. Coming at number 10, I think this might be a surprise. The General.
I was sure it was going to be Palmer.
Actually, you know what? You're not far off there, but the General. I mean, it's been. You know what? He picked big name. Jonathan Taylor hasn't touched the field yet.
So Jonathan Taylor's eligible to come back this week, week five. After Monday, he's eligible to come back. It's been rumored. He said, "I'm not playing for the Colts."
Well,
and the Colts are asking for Jalen Waddle plus from Miami to get him.
He's also not playing for the General. And if that's the case, Breece Hall is his number 1 back. Breece Hall, who knows what's going on with the Jets. He got a lot of issues. He went high on Garrett Wilson. You know, same thing. He has Tyreek Hill, and that's about it. Coming in at number 9, my co-host, Batting Lawn.
Yeah, we're lost 2 in a row, and this is how it started last year.
And
you start stacking losses, it seems like you're never going to win again. Come on, Trevor Lawrence.
You know what? And I think you're looking to build. You're looking to get there, but after 2 losses, you're going to slide some in the power rankings. Number 8, a team that's lost 1 in a row, the Rough Cats. You know what? We talked about it. He lost Nick Chubb. I would have dropped him lower last week. but he has Kamara coming back. Swift seems to be playing good. Christian Watson's playing, or he's playing now. So I think the Rough Cats are getting healthy at the right time.
Okay.
What's the?
No, I just want to look at something, but go ahead. Keep it going.
Is it the points or something?
No. Go ahead.
Okay.
Keep going.
Tell me after. Coming in that was number 8. Number 7, the Swifties.
Okay, so real quick.
Oh. Now you can interject.
So, Batting Lawn happens to have 33 more points than you.
Yeah.
They have 10 more points against than you, and they have the same record as you.
Yeah.
But the Swifties are higher in the power rankings. I want to point that out.
Well, yeah, they're batting on a 2-game losing streak.
Yep.
Swifties on a 1-game winning streak. Swifties, Travis Kelce, getting back to health. It's just more than one thing. There's a variety of factors.
I'm sure there's a lot that goes into it.
There's a team name change, everything. You gotta consider
the whole
all
vibe
these
around the team is high.
Hey, but I'm still on the outside of the playoffs.
Yeah,
remember, this is an unbiased power ranking.
But it seems that way.
We talked about it. I think the schedule gets easier for Naj at this point. I think Dak, I would, by Thanksgiving, we could be talking about Dak for MVP. I think there's a lot of things to factor into there. So 7, just on the outside of the playoffs, we have the Swifties. Coming number 6, actually higher than I thought myself. I didn't even realize this. The Crumb Snatchers.
Oh, geez.
They're looking at the playoffs right now. You know what? Tim's 2-1. He's on a 2-game win streak, and I think he has a couple holes to fill, but so far so good for him. Coming to number 5 is Army of North. We just talked about him in the last game that we broke down. There's a lot of holes.
I'm documenting that you said Nosh for MVP.
There's a lot of holes for the Army of North right now, but I think if Eckler can get healthy and Cincinnati can figure it out with Mixon and Higgins, he might make some noise in the JV division. Coming to number 4, we got Jack, the returning champion, returned doubtful. You know what? He's overcome Deontay Johnson injury. He traded Mostert away, but, he got Gabe Davis. He still has a pretty solid lineup going in there, although with Derrick Henry, a little bit questionable. Number 3 is Grant's Union Army. I don't love the team, love the receivers. I think his receivers are going to get better. His running backs, although he does have Mostert, who's number 1, I'm not sold on him. I'm more sold on that his receivers will get better as the year goes on. There's no way Chase and Brown stay where they're at. Coming to number 2, although it's the highest scoring team, I'm putting him at number 2, SA Quarantine.
You got it.
You know what? His team's been playing well at this point. Not a lot of holes, no losses. I'm not sold on them. I think it's a hot start. I don't think they're going to be there at the end of the year, but, they're 3-0 right now, so not much else you can do. And continuing at number 1 is Hodgepodge of Nothingness. No holes on the team. I think best lineup from start to finish.
Very good lineup, and he has some good depth. We ran a touch long. We're at 48 minutes. It's Friday morning, and what's the high school game tonight for you?
You know what? It's Baldwin's homecoming. I don't know who they play. I actually have to go to a birthday party tonight. I'm more disappointed where I go to the homecoming game.
I know you're a big fan of that.
Although I watched the Baldwin game last week. Baldwin got blown out. Where's Bethel Park?
Decent this year.
No, they're never decent. I watched NA versus Central Catholic. It was a good game. Central Catholic squeaked it out.
Yeah.
Bell Vernon lost to TJ in a battle of rivalry. Last week. It was a loaded schedule. Friday Night Lights.
You should do fantasy high school. If you put Najee on Central Catholic, you think he runs better than he is right now. They have a better line.
Najee is better than everyone thinks.
Okay. The facts prove that wrong, but Kendrick Green playing for Houston this week. That Houston offensive line is a catastrophe.
You're telling me that TJ and Highsmith over under 4.5 sacks total for the Steelers D.
Just the defense or just those two?
Defense.
The defense will get over. I don't think they Watt might get 2 or 3 again, but I don't think Highsmith has a chance to get to that side. Just the rookies, I think he's going to run into, because Highsmith's coming from the middle or the other side, and he's going to run into Watt.
Because they're without Laramie Tunzel, right?
They're without 4 start.
Yeah,
4
and
starters?
the other guy, I saw Kendrick Green was starting. I actually forgot about Kendrick Green.
Is he center?
I don't know what he is.
Oh,
He's just
he
not on
he
the
wasn't a
Steelers
center,
line
I think.
anymore.
Yeah.
That's what I'm happy
Well,
about.
they sort of set him up. They drafted a guard, made him a center in the NFL, and he's taken on monsters. But I don't think he was that good to begin with. So, you watching anything?
I did the Murdoch family documentary.
I watched that one with the kid and the girlfriend, the boats.
Yeah, did you watch the second part? The second part just came out. I finished it last night.
No, I didn't see it.
It's about like the father on trial.
Yeah, he seems like a lunatic.
Apparently, though, there's a lot of them that were lunatics. But yes, it started at the top.
There you go. I'm still barreling through Suits.
I'm still watching that as well. I slowed down.
I did too. Well, I think we're on like season 4 or 5, maybe. I don't know. There's only so many times you can watch the same show.
I love it.
It's good.
I did. I got to I might be on 6, but then I slowed down. There's other stuff. High school football started. I know. Fantasy started. This show
started.
Who's going to be on guillotine this week? Who's your pick?
Right now, projection-wise, it's me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's me every week, though.
Well, I think you and I have been near the chop line every time I
It
pull it up.
depends if Cooper or A.J. Brown score, then I'm okay.
I know one thing. We'll both finish ahead of Melissa.
And Tagmar.
Well,
And Joey.
man, I didn't even think about that. He's out in guillotine.
He's a
His
catastrophe.
team and this ESPN is falling apart. And I can't believe he's so bad at Madden.
He's probably the worst. Out of everything he does, Madden might be the worst. He's awful at Madden.
He used to be so good. Did you ever hear the story about how he hustled B-Rad?
No, but I'm sure it was a good one.
Ask him about it.
I'll have to. When I play him tonight, go throw him off his guy. I'll talk about the glory days and try to take his mind off.
Take it easy on him.
I'm going to probably throw it because it doesn't mean that much to me. I think it means more to him. All right. We'll catch you next week. We're on 52 minutes. Good luck to everyone unless you're playing. I don't know who I'm playing this week. I don't even care. Doesn't matter. I'm probably going to lose again.
I think you're going to win.
I
might have picked you to lose.
I said, I don't know if you picked me to win or not. Actually, yeah. All right. We'll see you.
Adios.